Hello everyone, this is Richard, and this video I'm going to be doing an overview of the changes made in my 1.2 version of my coffee and tea mod. So this was a smaller update than the last one, and mostly in the coffee and tea making process just includes a few, like one new feature and a few fixes. But there's actually some other features for terrain generation that were added that are pretty cool. And I'm just going to briefly go over how I make coffee and tea. I know I do this in all of them, but that's just because I feel I have to do the full video for people who haven't seen this before. So if you have seen this part before, you might just watch it quick or skim over it. So basically, the new fix, or one of the first new fixes that was added, is now they have the right height. So if I clicked F5, these bushes, I have to kind of get the right angle. But you'll see I'm actually standing on the bush rather than like floating on it. And that was an issue in the old versions where the collision boxes didn't quite match the size of the models. So that is fully fixed now, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so first we're just going to start out with harvesting some tea leaves, or tea bushes, and harvesting some coffee bushes. And that is good because we need 8 to make a cup of coffee and 8 to make a cup of tea, so we have 10. Well, actually, we need to harvest one more coffee plant, because I think I must have harvested... okay. They both fell in the water there. I was like, where did those go? So, we're first going to start out by roasting these coffee beans. You may also notice these are new images, and these were actually contributed by a person on the forums, which is pretty cool. It was very nice of them to take their time to work on some images for the mod. And we're only going to make 10 of them, so I guess we'll have 15, oh well. And his name was Faraday, spelled with a PH instead of an F, and I'm going to link to his profile in the credits and stuff. So, now we need to make a mortar and pestle to grind those leaves, or to grind the coffee beans, and then eventually grind the tea leaves once they're done. So we'll have this mortar and pestle here, and I usually like to place it on the crafting table and just like shift and right click. There is currently a bug in some versions of Forge where it doesn't place properly, and I think this is a bug strictly with Forge, which means I can't really fix it. Forge just has to fix their end of it. And basically, to fix it, I found that the newer versions that are Forge latest instead of Forge recommended seem to work better for me. That's how I got this working. So yeah, if you're having that problem, just make sure you're running like 1.7.10 or 1.7.2 latest instead of recommended. So those are still roasting right now. And while that's happening, we're going to make a cup, because we're obviously going to need a cup to put our coffee and tea in. So this will make a clay cup and finished. If you've seen the mod before, you'll also notice these are new cup images. Again, it was contributed by the same guy, which is pretty cool. So we're just going to put that in the furnace, and that'll turn into a clay cup finished, and then we're going to fill it with water. So it should be done any second now. And yeah, now we've got an empty cup. So now we have to go over here and fill it with some water. Probably not the greatest sanitary thing, but I guess I didn't think of adding the ability to distill it. So now we can just boil this water, which probably would essentially distill it anyway, so after all that muddy water there. And, okay, so now it's a boiling cup of water. I didn't really know how to add steam for that, so you'll see there's just kind of water pouring over the sides, and it's a little lighter color to show it's boiling. So this should be... okay, we have enough coffee beans. And now we're going to grind these roasted coffee beans into coffee grounds. And you may notice my mouse spam clicking noise. I'm sorry, I can't really prevent that. But one of the new features, as you can tell, is that when the mortar and pestle gets damaged, when it hits 48 uses left or below, it starts to show damage. So you can see if you look inside of it too, there's little bits of damage as well. And then as you do more damage to it, like when it hits 32 uses left and 16, the damage becomes even more prevalent. Now I thought that was just cool, just to kind of give someone an idea from a distance whether it's damaged or not. Kind of like the anvils do. So now we just need to finish grinding up our tea leaves. And now we have everything we need. So first we're going to start out by taking this boiling cup of water and surrounding it with coffee grounds. And that'll make a full cup of coffee. But we don't want to stop there. We could, but we don't want to. Basically, if you drink just a regular full cup of coffee, you will get the first level of the potion effect. So you'll get speed 1. But if you drink a cup of coffee with sugar, you'll get speed 2. So we're just going to place this full cup of coffee with sugar on the ground, and you may have noticed it actually lightens up the color of the coffee a little. And that was something that Faraday also made when he donated those images. So, or contributed those images, I guess I should say. So now we have our cup of coffee, and if we drink from it, you'll see I get speed 2. And if I click inventory, you can see here, I can run a lot faster, especially when I'm sprinting. And I'm just going to set the time today real quick, because this is on peaceful. Or not on peaceful, it is on a difficulty, and I don't have any weapons, so I don't really want to be attacked by monsters. And you'll notice we still have half a cup of coffee. If I were to drink the other half, it's going to bring me back up to 8 minutes. So you always want to make sure you're about to run out, or already have run out when you drink it, otherwise you're wasting it. So now we're just going to break this and get an empty cup back. And now we're going to make tea, so we'll just... Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. We'll just fill this with water, and then we'll boil it. And there. In a second it'll be boiling, and then we can make some tea. And tea provides regeneration. There's no version of sugar for tea, though, so it only does regeneration 1. I'll probably add that in the next version. And if I take this boiling cup of water real quick and surround it with ground tea leaves. This was, by the way, another new feature in 1.2, where you have to grind your tea leaves as opposed to the previous versions. I figured it made it more balanced. And now we have a cup of tea. The guy who contributed this made it green looking, the image, and I always had it kind of a lighter brown looking, so I will probably change that in a future version to make them match. And this will provide us with regeneration. So it doesn't say regeneration 1 since it's just regeneration, but it's 8 minutes of it. And then again, if we drink it, it just renews the time back to like 8 minutes. So that is basically the coffee and tea in this. Now I'll show you some of the new features that were added in 1.2 in other ways. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys some of the terrain gen features of 1.2. And basically, I'm going to create a new world, and that way you guys can tell. So we're just going to call it terrain gen test. And I'm going to set my game mode to creative, obviously, so we can fly. And I have this pretty cool seed that basically spawns a dungeon and a village, and a plains biome all within range of each other. And that way I can show you guys all the new features that I added in 1.2. So once this world loads up, we'll show you. And you can pause the video there if you wanted the seed. I actually found it in a seed spotlight video. So first we'll head out here. And if you go out in this desert, there's a dungeon that naturally spawns here. Getting a lot of frame rate lag because it's generating terrain. There's also the village over there. And basically in 1.2, I'd add the ability for stuff to spawn in dungeons and mine shafts. And basically it'll spawn some of my mod stuff. So you can see tea leaves have generated here, and also roasted coffee beans. A fair amount of them too. And there should be a fair amount in the other chest as well. So there's plenty in here. And in a mine shafts, which I won't be able to show in this video, but you guys can explore yourself, it generates the seed versions of them, since I figured that went along with the whole melon seeds that generate in mine shafts. And over here we have a village. I don't know if I'll be able to get any villagers who have the coffee and tea mod trades, because they're pretty rare, and I don't see many villagers here. But we'll see if there's any that we can find. Okay, he obviously doesn't have it. It's farmers that have it. Okay, yeah, 15 coffee beans for 1 emerald. So that's a good trade. You can actually trade the stuff to them after farming it. I tried to make them pretty stingy and cheap to kind of match with the villagers in the regular game. So it has a bunch of different trades for stuff in the mod, not just roasted coffee beans. But that's probably all I can find there, and I want to show you guys the other new feature, which is now that bushes spawn naturally, primarily in plains biomes, but they also spawn in extreme hills. So I don't know if there'll be any that generate here, because this isn't a very big plains biome, and they're pretty rare the way I set up the formula. Okay, so actually a few generated here. So here's 2 tea bushes, and oh, here's some coffee bushes as well. They kind of generate in packs like that, because that's the way the terrain generator works. Obviously we're not going to find any there, because it's a forest biome. but like if I click F3, you can see we're in plains right now. And I think that's all the ones that generated, actually, because I tried to keep it pretty rare. I didn't want the whole world to be filled with them. I just wanted it to help a user or a player who's like starting out. So yeah, that is pretty much all the updates for version 1.2 of my mod. I have version 1.3 is already planned. I know what I want to make, but it'll probably be a while before it's out fully because I don't have much time at the moment, and there's a fair amount of like stuff and coding involved in the next update. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this update. I certainly enjoyed making it, and I really liked the idea of adding terrain gen features finally. So thanks for watching, everyone. Richard out.